Good morning, Peyton. I am glad that you're here with us. I just want to say thank you for just taking the time to let us talk, have this conversation. I am really, really excited for everyone just to hear your story, to hear how God has been working in you and through you, and what's up with your life. And so we're going to start, and I just want you to tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Peyton Bowers. I am going to be a senior at Thomas Worthington High School this year. I play lacrosse, I run cross country, and I'm a cheerleader. I'm the oldest of 3 girls, and my family's been in the church for a really long time.
You're going to Taylor in the next fall.
Yes.
And you're majoring
in finance and Christian ministry.
Awesome. So what made you decide to do those 2 majors?
Well, I knew I wanted to do something in ministry. I have a really big passion for communicating with people, and I feel like that's kind of my gift, is to talk to other people and be empathetic and lead other people. So I knew I wanted to do something in ministry, but I also want to make money, and I'm a tad bit worried about that. So I think it would be really cool to work for somewhere like a camp or a Christian organization and do their finance, as well as lead other people in the same way.
Over quarantine, you wrote a book.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a feat for an adult, much less a high school senior, to write a book. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what made you write a book?
I wrote part of a book. It is a book. It was a book in 6th grade that I wrote, and it's not the best. It's about when Worthington was founded, and we did it for a school project. And so I knew I really liked to write. So when I had a ton of extra time during quarantine and I was super bored, I started writing a book. So I got about 7 pages typed into it. So that would be about 20 pages in a real book. And I decided to delete all of it. I didn't like it. I don't know why. It was actually probably a good book, but I don't think that's what God wanted me to write. So I ended up writing this, and I think it's just my way to share with other people my faith.
Yeah, I've read the book, and I think it's terrific. It's actually called Love God, Love Others, and Love Yourself. And I think it's a terrific book. So tell me a little bit about the process. Like, what's the hardest part about writing a book?
Oh my goodness. I think the hardest part was editing it afterwards.
Oh,
yeah, my dad and my mom and I edited it. And there's a lot of going through it again, and it's kind of weird to read what you wrote. And I was a bit too honest in the first version with some things, so taking some of that out. But honestly, writing it was super easy. I'd sit down for hours and just write how I was feeling, what I was thinking, and it was very therapeutic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Tell us maybe one of your favorite parts in it.
So the first half of the book is my story from the time I was really young, from before I was even born. My parents, my grandparents. I talk a lot about the different people that formed who I am and how my relationship with God got started. And then I kind of talk about my journey with Christ and going through elementary school and middle school and high school, and what happened to really affirm that relationship with God and build it to be stronger. And then the second half of the book is different lessons I've learned from God over the years. So my favorite part of the book is either the first or the second chapter of the second half of the book. And I talk about how God has a plan for you and how He has perfect timing. Because I feel like that's the biggest lesson I've learned from God, is just that all the bad stuff that happens, there's good that comes out of it, and God does have a plan, and that even when you're really uncertain and you're confused, there is someone with it all written down and knows that it's going to be okay.
In that book, you mentioned a few times in a few places about youth ministry.
Yeah.
So share with us, share with me about how youth ministry, being a part of the youth ministry here, has helped you, has helped your faith and your journey with God.
I think what's really cool about youth ministry is the relationships you build with other people, not only with people your age who can hold you accountable in your relationship with God, but also with people that are older than you, people that can share their wisdom and just be there for you and show you what it looks like to love others. And just having fun with other people without the stress of, school and sports and earthly things.
Tell us about a meaningful moment or time where you're like, that was so impactful.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of really impactful youth events that have really formed who I am. But I think the biggest thing, and this is kind of a recurring thing, this has happened a few times to me, is when you watch someone else accept Christ. Your own personal experience is the coolest thing in the world, and that's a memory you'll always have, but watching your friends and the people you love accept Christ is just so cool. And there's one really important thing I think someone said to me once. It's not you leading others to Christ, it's God working through you. Yeah. And so it's just so cool to remember that you didn't get that person to God, but that God used you, and that's just the coolest feeling.
Yeah. Who have been some influential people in your life here at Worthington?
At Worthington Christian, Austin and Meredith Sievers have just been amazing. Both of them have really cool relationships with God, and together they have a really cool godly relationship, and I think just their influence has really impacted my life, as well as, they both run, and so I like that we ran the half marathon together, and just watching how they work as a family has been so cool.
Could you tell us why you think a peer of yours should be involved in youth ministry?
Honestly, not only is it just really enjoyable, it's really fun, but there is so much you get out of building relationships with other Christians and other people who have the same values as you and the same morals as you. They're people you can go to for advice, but also people that will just be like, hey, have you talked to God lately? Or how are you in God? And that's a really important thing. It's almost like a reminder, like when we're so busy and our world is crazy, it's a time to sit down and really think about what's going on in your life and how God is working through you.
How has God, in the past few weeks, past few months, just been getting your attention?
Yeah. Well, a few weeks ago, we all know that sports were not going to happen, and school is online, and the world was kind of flip-flopped and turned upside down. And I think the biggest thing that God has shown me the past, honestly, 2 weeks was that He is my priority, and He is what is important right now. It's not, will I get my senior sports seasons? Because those are pretty important things to a high school senior. And will I get to see my friends at school? And what's my year gonna look like? But that uncertainty has really reminded me that we're all gonna be fine. Our purpose here on earth is not to go play lacrosse or to cheer at the football game. It's to lead others to Christ and to really do God's work.
How do you think that reminder for you, how can you encourage somebody else?
Yeah. Really listen to what God's trying to tell you. Don't ignore what He's trying to say, because He might be trying to show you someone, pushing you towards someone, being like, hey, go talk to them, they need you right now, or telling you something like, hey, He has a plan for you, you're gonna be okay. What's
been a verse, a Bible verse that's a passage of scripture that stood out to you during this season?
So I actually included this in the chapter of my book that I was talking about, my favorite part of it, where I'm talking about how God has a plan for you and He has perfect timing, and you really need to trust in Him and just believe that it'll all be okay. So this is kind of a well-known verse, but Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for just telling us about what God is doing in you and through you. And it makes me think of 2 Corinthians chapter 4. It says this, but we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. And I think of you guys, and I think, man, you guys have been so resilient and so just awesome to watch through this journey of the past 6 months. And so I'm proud of you. Peyton mentioned 2 things. She mentioned adults who have been a major influence in her life, and she mentioned groups of her peers who have connected with her, who have encouraged her, challenged her, who have they've just had fun together. And so first thing I want to encourage you with is, if you're an adult, we need men and women who are willing to serve our youth ministry, to serve our students, to stand alongside students, to point them to Jesus. There's going to be a moment on your screen for where you can click and send me an email. If you're in the audience, come find me after church. But we love when adults, when men and women say, yes, I want to make a difference. I want to serve our students and point them to Jesus. Second is groups. If you're an adult, if you're a student, we all need people. We all need a community. We all need people to encourage us, to challenge us, to inspire us. And so on your screen, if you're online, you're going to see an online moment where you can click to join a group if you're a student. If you're in person, you're here in service, come find me afterwards. I'd love to get you connected to a group. Everybody needs a place where they can be. They can be safe, they can be heard, they can be loved, and everybody needs a place where they have people who believe in them and to encourage them. Thank you so much for being a part of this interview, for listening, and hope you have a great day.